Hey, so what we're doing today is going to unbox the Snow Joe. It's the 18-inch, 13-amp electric snow thrower. We got this from Amazon the other day, and it's the model the SJ618 Echo. So let's get to it, see what's in the box. So whenever we're getting unboxing there, we've got several pieces. This one looks like the chute, right? Comes out of the top. And then some of the assembly rods with it. So what we're going to do here is just kind of set this stuff over here out of the way so we can get to it quickly in reference to it. Alright, so the cord here, this is easier if you have two people to do it with, because the top part of the handle, the actuator that actually powers it on, is attached to the unit itself, which is down in the box. Now the box, it's a little bulky, but it's not too bad. You know, two adults, two teenagers should be able to assemble this relatively easy. We get it out, get some of the papers off of it, then get the box out. Alright. So we're going to set it here, make it easier to work with on a tabletop. You're going to have to shoot down and get that done. And now we're going to start with the assembly. Alright, so in the box we have a couple of the fasteners in the hardware that just kind of comes pre-assembled like this. And what we're going to do, we're going to take it apart. So it's in a couple pieces here. Alright, so Nicole's going to help us out and get this thing started with where we're assembling. Now what we had here, this is what, the short handle? Mm-hmm. All right, the little short piece, it's kind of in the shape of a half box. We're going to put that in there, and I'll grab my camera here in just a second so we can kind of get a close-up view of what we're doing. All right, so what we're doing, we're just kind of putting those in there. Now, you can see this is what, like a J shape, right? Screw just kind of goes through there, and then we just kind of keep a little bit of tension on it, and that's a thumb screw in the blue knobs. Alright, so we get it in there and we just hand tighten that down. Now it might be a little bit snug going in the first little bit of threads. Alright, so the next part what we have is the upper handle. Okay, so we've got a couple different bolts that come in these pre-screw on the handles here. If you can see, these carriage bolts have a curvature on them, and then some of these carriage bolts are just the standard ones with the oval head. So we're going to use those in a couple different places on the assembly here, and with the next, I guess it'd be the middle section that we're going to assemble with these. With the curved tops on them. Now on the insides of the handles, a little tight to get there. This one has, if you see right here, it's got a square. What we're doing with that, we're just trying to make sure that this carriage bolt goes through. And then where we're going to line this up on the outside is with the second hole. Is where we're going to go in with that. Alright, so our last top section here, right? It goes through, there's a clamp over here on this side. It's got the small hook on the inside of it, if you see there. That's going to pry out just a little bit, and that's a little snug to get that cable going there. And that way it can just spin around and get adjusted up on it. With the next part, we got the upper handles, and we're using the same heads again to get that one in there, and then this one again, it kind of lines up. It also matches with the curve here. The handle has to come down. There we go, and it goes in, and then this screws on here. Alright, so our next assembly is the chute. As you can see, it comes in two pieces here. Both of them is going to go together. They've got knurl marks around on it, and you'll see on the inside of this that they've got the square bolt pattern. This is for the Allen heads that fit in there. So we'll put this together like so.
These are the carriage bolts, the good.
Yeah, the carriage bolts, they go inside. Make sure that those carriage bolts line up in the groove on that side, and the carriage bolt here for the other side.
So they're both similar type.
And again, you want to make sure your carriage bolt seats down real good on the inside of that. All right, so these will snug down. However, if you're wanting to be able to adjust your direction that you're going to shoot the snow, you're going to have to leave it, you may have to loosen and re-secure these depending on where you want it at. Okay. So now that we've got the chute together, for the most part, there's several notches that you'll see around on through here that we're going to have to line up with these slots here. Now if you see on those slots, they are grooved, so they match the grooves that are here on this. Now you see that looks like it goes in and it hooks. That's what we're going to do here. We're going to make sure that we set it in and then we twist it into place. Now it has an arrow on here in the direction that you should twist it to lock it in place, so that gives you an idea of which direction you need to go when you set it here. We'll get it down in those grooves and we'll twist in that direction to lock it in. Okay, and then one small piece of hardware, it's the only tool we've needed so far, is a 4-way Phillips head screwdriver. And then we have that set screw that goes down in here to make sure that that this thing's locked in place and it's not going to come loose on us. Alright, so we've already got our chute installed and we've got about everything else on here, but how are we going to control our chute? Now we have this handle, and if you'll notice on the back of this, there's a cotter pin right here. This little pin should be pretty easy to pull out, and then you start with your assembly with the next rod. Now the rod, both of them have holes in it. This one has the holes obviously where we just pulled our pin out, and this one has a hole here. We need to make sure that these will line up inside of there, and then once they do, there we go, like just a little bit. Push the pin back in. So now that part of the pin is secure. Now you notice this has a thumb screw here on the end. So what we'll do with this thumb screw, we'll take it off because we're going to use the actual part of the handle there and push through this eye bolt, which has a rubber grommet in it. Now that eye bolt, it's a little tight to fit it in there, and then on top of that, then we have to align that up. All right, here we go. So once we have both of those lined up, we're going to use our thumb screw and put it back in here to secure it in place. Now periodically, with maybe vibrations from the machine, you may want to go back and re-secure these, or maybe even use Loctite if you're going to leave the snowblower assembled the whole season, even maybe in the off season. But for now, these are snug. This is a 4-way Phillips head screw. This is just a thumb screw there, and now that's in there. So with the turn of that, we can adjust the direction that our chute is going to spit the snow out. All right, so again, this is snug here, but if you loosen it just a little bit, then you can change your direction if you want it to angle down farther, or if you want it to come back up. So now that we've got our chute on, and we can adjust it back and forth and up and down, depending on what the angle is. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the operation. Now with this device, there is a safety switch here, and it has pretty simple instructions to start. Press and hold the safety switch, and this is just the blue switch here. So when you have it down on the ground, you have this switch depressed, and then you'll be able to pull the handle. And then you don't have to hold this in the whole time you're in operation, but it would easily be just down removed, and when you would let it go, it locks back out. So this doesn't have any tension on it. but when you press it in, there is a draw that activates that. There's also a little cable hook here, and we'll show you here in just a minute after we get it off the table, that you can loop part of your extension cord through as an extra safety piece. Alright, so we finished our assembly with using only a Phillips head screwdriver. A little bit of elbow grease, and we got it all together. Everything's here to function. Now we're going to test it out. Now, unfortunately, we don't have any snow for today, so we're not going to be able to physically take it outside. But what we do have is an extension cord. Now, it should be important to mention that this is a 13 amp electric motor. So it's going to have a pretty substantial power draw on it. So your smaller extension cords are not going to be capable of doing this safely without overheating. So what our recommendations are to use at least a 12 gauge, if not a 10 gauge extension cord. This makes it a lot easier so the machine doesn't overheat, as well as you don't put too much strain on the wire. So out of the box, this comes with a plastic end cap on it here. You're just simply going to pull that off as a safety mechanism. And then you'll notice that the prongs are polarized, like most of your typical plugs are. And then you're going to plug it in. So with that hook we mentioned a little bit earlier, it's here so you can droop your extension cord over into it to make sure it's there. Now the book mentions tying the cords slightly together. However, we're not going to do that here in this situation. Again, for activation, remember we're going to depress this safety switch, and we're going to pull back on the handle. Now, obviously there's power on this. We pull back on the handle, nothing happens. That's because we didn't use our switch. But it's important here that we're going to turn it on from this, depress. So everything works on that. I'm going to turn this way here. Kick that over so you can see kind of the same thing. Get this, the switch depressed, and then it's off. You know, without the switch depressed, it's not going to work. So there's your assembly of the Snow Joe 18-inch 13 amp snowblower. So if you like watching the video, the assembly of this small Snow Joe snowblower, make sure you like and subscribe down here at the bottom.